Olivia Carter had always been a woman of mystery, a power player behind the scenes, crafting strategies that made politicians into presidents and CEOs into moguls. At 35, she had built a formidable reputation in Washington, navigating the treacherous waters of political warfare with a precision that made even the most seasoned strategists envious. Her name commanded respect, but her past was an enigma, until one explosive revelation changed everything. It started with an anonymous tip to James Holloway, a Pulitzer-winning journalist known for exposing Washington's deepest secrets. Holloway received a package, no return address, no clue as to the sender, containing a birth certificate, hospital records, and a faded photograph of a young Donald Trump holding a newborn baby. At first, Holloway dismissed it as a hoax, but as he cross-referenced documents and ran DNA analysis, the results confirmed what seemed impossible. Olivia Carter was Donald Trump's daughter. The revelation sent shockwaves through the media, setting off a wildfire of speculation. Who was Olivia's mother? Why had Trump kept her a secret? What did this mean for his 2024 campaign? The news broke on every major network, and within hours, Olivia's phone was inundated with calls from reporters, political operatives, and even members of Trump's inner circle. Sitting in her high-rise office overlooking the Washington Monument, Olivia remained eerily calm, her mind already mapping out scenarios, calculating risks. She had spent her career controlling narratives, but now she was the story. Meanwhile, at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's reaction was explosive. "Fake news!" he barked at his aides, throwing a copy of the New York Times across the room. Yet, as his lawyers analyzed the documents, even they had to admit it looked real. "We need to control this," said Jason Miller, one of his senior advisors. "If she's your daughter, we spin this as a family reunion. If not, we discredit the entire thing." But Trump wasn't a man who liked being cornered. He picked up his phone, dialed a number he hadn't called in decades, and waited. When Olivia answered, her voice was steady. "I assume you're calling about the news?" Trump hesitated for the first time in years. "Is it true?" She let the silence stretch before responding. Would it change anything if it was? For the first time, the usually unshakable Trump felt uncertain. He hadn't seen Olivia since she was a baby. Her mother, a former pageant queen and brief flame of his during the early 80s, had vanished from his life before Olivia could speak her first words. Trump had moved on, never looking back, until now. The political implications were immediate. Olivia's strategic brilliance was undeniable. She had masterminded Senate victories, flipped battleground states, and turned scandals into opportunities. But would she be an asset or a liability? The Republican base adored Trump's family-oriented image, but a secret daughter complicated that. His opponents seized the revelation, framing it as yet another example of his deception. Liberal media ran op-eds questioning his character, while conservative outlets scrambled to shift the narrative. In the eye of the storm, Olivia did what she did best. She took control. Holding a press conference in front of the Lincoln Memorial, she faced the cameras with unflinching confidence. "Yes, the reports are true," she said. "Donald Trump is my biological father, but my success, my career, my principles, those are mine alone. I built myself without his influence, and I will not be reduced to a footnote in his story." The nation watched enthralled. Was she rejecting him? Was she aligning with him? The ambiguity only fueled more speculation. Meanwhile, Trump's inner circle was divided. Some saw Olivia as a potential key to winning over moderate voters, a bridge between traditional conservatives and the younger, more diverse electorate. Others warned that she was unpredictable, a wild card who might turn against them. At the heart of it all, Olivia was grappling with her own emotions. She had spent her life outrunning the shadow of the father she never knew. Now, the world wanted her to claim him. But as the political machine churned, she realized something critical. Whether she accepted Trump or not, her name would be forever linked to his. The question was, how would she use that power? The answer came in an unexpected phone call. Trump himself. His voice was quieter than she expected. "I need a campaign manager," he said. She almost laughed at the audacity. "You want me to run your campaign?" "Who better?" he said. "You're the best." She knew this was about more than strategy. This was about control. If she accepted, she wouldn't just be working for him. She'd be shaping history, proving her worth on the biggest stage imaginable. But it also meant stepping into a battlefield where betrayal was inevitable, and loyalty was a currency that could bankrupt anyone who spent it too freely. As she stared out at the city she had dominated for years, Olivia made her decision. "I'll do it," she said. "On my terms." Trump chuckled. Wouldn't expect anything less. The world had just witnessed the first chapter of a political storm unlike any other. And Olivia Carter, Trump's secret daughter, was about to become the most powerful woman in America. The moment Olivia Carter accepted the role of campaign manager for Donald Trump's 2024 presidential bid, the political world erupted into chaos. Every major network ran the story on a loop, some calling it a masterstroke, others branding it a desperate gamble. Social media became a war zone, with conservatives debating whether she was a traitor or a savior, while liberals speculated on her true motives. Olivia, however, remained unmoved. She had spent years shaping the destinies of politicians from behind the curtain. Now, for the first time, she was stepping into the light, and the stakes had never been higher. Her first move was setting the terms. In a private meeting at Mar-a-Lago, she faced Trump and his senior advisors, her posture commanding despite the tension in the room. "If I run this campaign, I need full control of strategy, messaging, and team selection," she stated. Jason Miller, Trump's longtime advisor, scoffed. "You think you can just walk in and take over?" Olivia met his gaze without blinking. "I don't think. I know." Trump smirked, watching the exchange. He had built an empire by recognizing strength, and Olivia's confidence was undeniable. "She's right," he finally said, silencing the room. "If she's in charge." The resistance within Trump's inner circle was immediate. Longtime loyalists like Stephen Miller and Kellyanne Conway feared she would undermine their influence. Others, like Jared Kushner, saw potential in her approach. "She understands modern political warfare," Kushner argued. "She's taken down senators, flipped swing states. She knows the game." But Olivia wasn't interested in winning over Trump's existing team. She had her own vision. The first order of business was the messaging. "We're not running a 2016 rerun," she declared in their first strategy session. "We need to redefine the narrative. The media wants to paint you as outdated, disconnected. We changed the script." She proposed a campaign that focused on three key pillars: economic resurgence, America First diplomacy, and a surprising pivot, reaching disaffected independents and young conservatives who had been turned off by the chaos of the past. Trump listened carefully, his usual bravado giving way to calculation. "And how do we do that?" he asked. "First," Olivia said, "we bury the noise. No more reactive rants. We control the story before the media does." Trump raised an eyebrow. "You're telling me to keep my mouth shut?" "I'm telling you to choose your battles," she corrected. "When you speak, it should shake the ground. No wasted words. No distractions." It was a bold directive, but one that intrigued Trump. He thrived on unpredictability. Yet Olivia was offering something different, a controlled storm, one that hit harder because it was precise. He agreed reluctantly, and the shift in tone was immediate. Press conferences became more deliberate. Social media outbursts were replaced with carefully crafted messaging. The base noticed. So did the opposition. But Olivia wasn't just reshaping the campaign from within. She was taking the fight to the enemy. The first major test came in a high-stakes interview with CNN's Anderson Cooper. "Many people are questioning your sudden allegiance to a father who never acknowledged you," Cooper began. "Why now?" Olivia's response was swift and strategic. "Because this campaign isn't about my past. It's about America's future. The media loves a scandal, but I deal in solutions." The answer was clipped, disciplined, and reframed the narrative instantly. It wasn't about her. It was about the country. Critics fumed, unable to bait her into emotional outbursts. Meanwhile, Trump supporters began seeing her as a formidable force rather than just an unexpected wild card. Behind the scenes, however, tensions were rising. Old allies of Trump resented her control. Donors were divided, some thrilled by the campaign's newfound discipline, others wary of her power. And lurking in the shadows were political operatives determined to bring her down. One such threat emerged from within the Republican establishment. A faction of GOP elites, fearing Olivia's influence, began feeding stories to the press. Rumors surfaced about her past dealings, whisper campaigns questioning her loyalty. One particularly damning leak suggested she had once consulted for a Democrat senator, an accusation designed to alienate the base. Olivia knew it was coming. She had played this game too many times not to anticipate it. Instead of denying the allegations, she addressed them head-on in a surprise town hall event. "Yes, I've worked across party lines," she admitted, "because winning isn't about blind loyalty. It's about strategy. And strategy is how we're going to take back this country." The audience erupted in applause. The attack had failed. Instead of painting her as disloyal, it reinforced her image as a master tactician. Even Trump, watching from backstage, nodded in approval. Yet, despite her growing success, the personal cost was mounting. The relentless scrutiny, the betrayals, the constant battles. It was a lonely war. Her relationship with Trump remained complicated. They worked together, but they were far from family. Late at night, she often found herself staring at old photographs of her mother, wondering what she would think of the path Olivia had chosen. Then came the ultimate test. A devastating scandal broke, one that had nothing to do with Olivia, but everything to do with Trump. A former aide released a tell-all book, filled with damaging claims about the former president's past dealings. The media pounced, and suddenly, the campaign's hard-earned momentum was at risk. Trump's instinct was to fight fire with fire. "We sue, we discredit, we go nuclear," he growled in a late-night meeting. But Olivia had a different approach. "No," she said firmly. "We don't play defense. We go bigger." She laid out a counteroffensive unlike anything seen before. Instead of getting bogged down in rebuttals, they would shift the focus entirely. "We're launching a nationwide tour," she announced. "Not rallies, solutions forums. We take the fight to the people, drown out the noise with action." The plan was risky, ambitious, and completely against Trump's usual instincts. But Olivia had earned his trust. "Fine," he said. "Let's do it." The tour was an unprecedented success. Crowds surged in numbers unseen since 2016. Media outlets struggled to keep up. The scandal faded into the background as Olivia's strategy dominated the news cycle. Yet, even as she solidified her role as the architect of Trump's resurgence, Olivia knew the real battle was still ahead. She had proven she could command the campaign. But to truly win, she had to be ready for the final, most dangerous move of all. As she stood before the roaring crowd at their largest event yet, she felt the weight of what was coming. Betrayals would intensify, enemies would strike harder, and the ultimate power move, the one that could decide the fate of the entire election, was still waiting in the shadows. She took a deep breath, staring at the teleprompter before her. The words were her own. The vision was hers. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't just shaping history. She was making it. The game was far from over. The final move was yet to come. The final stretch of the campaign was unlike anything the country had ever seen. Olivia Carter had transformed Trump's 2024 bid from a chaotic gamble into a disciplined political machine, one that confounded the media and silenced skeptics. Yet, as November loomed, she knew the hardest battles were still ahead. The opposition was relentless. Democratic strategists, alarmed by the resurgence of Trump's campaign, launched wave after wave of attack ads, painting him as an outdated, divisive figure. Pundits speculated that Olivia's strategy had been effective, but they doubted whether she could deliver a victory. And within Trump's own circle, old allies seethed at how much control she had wrested from them. The internal sabotage began subtly. Leaked strategy memos, whispers to the press about disagreements between Trump and Olivia, rumors that she was planning to abandon the campaign if things went south. She expected it. What she didn't expect was a betrayal that hit closest to home. It started with an anonymous tip to the Washington Post. The story broke like an earthquake. Olivia Carter's Democratic ties run deeper than she claims. The article revealed confidential emails from years prior, showing that she had once advised a prominent Democratic senator during a crucial election cycle. The timing was lethal, just weeks before the first presidential debate. Conservative media erupted in fury. Fox News anchors questioned her loyalty. Trump supporters flooded social media with demands for her resignation, and the Republican National Committee held an emergency meeting to discuss whether she should be removed. Inside Mar-a-Lago, Trump was fuming. "This is a disaster," he growled, pacing in his private study. "They're saying you're a plant, that you're trying to sink me." Olivia stood her ground. "This is a hit job, and you know it." His eyes narrowed. "Is it true?" She exhaled slowly. "Yes, I consulted for both parties. That's what strategists do. But if I wanted to destroy you, I wouldn't have rebuilt your campaign from the ground up." Trump studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Fine, then fix it." Olivia knew the only way to counteract the smear was to go on offense. She called an emergency press conference, stepping onto the stage before the media could define the narrative. "Yes, I've worked across party lines," she admitted, "because elections aren't about party loyalty, they're about winning. And I win." The statement was bold, unapologetic. It sent a clear message. She wasn't a traitor. She was a warrior. Still, the damage had been done. The poll numbers dipped. The campaign was vulnerable. And then came the final, most devastating move from the opposition. A secret recording surfaced. A grainy audio clip, allegedly of Olivia in a private conversation saying, "I don't care about Trump. I care about power." The media exploded. MSNBC ran the clip on repeat. CNN brought in body language experts to analyze whether she was lying in her denials. Even Trump's most loyal supporters began to doubt her. For the first time since taking over the campaign, Olivia felt the ground shaking beneath her. She had spent years mastering the game, controlling the message, staying 10 steps ahead. But now, she was a target. And the worst part, the recording was real. It was her voice. The words were hers. But the context was missing. It had been taken from a private strategy session years ago, twisted into something damning. Inside the campaign war room, the mood was grim. Senior advisors whispered about cutting ties. The RNC pressured Trump to fire her. Even Trump himself seemed unsure. "I don't need distractions," he told her. "You've done good work, but if this keeps bleeding us, I might have to." Olivia cut him off. "You fire me, and you lose." Trump's eyes flashed. "Why?" She leaned forward. "Because the people don't want a perfect candidate. They want a fighter. And if you abandon me now, they'll see weakness. But if we own this, if we turn it into proof that we don't play by their rules, we take back control." For a moment, Trump just stared at her. Then, slowly, he smiled. "All right," he said. "Let's burn them down." The counteroffensive was brutal. Olivia went on every major network, refusing to apologize, refusing to back down. "Of course I care about power," she said on 60 Minutes. "Because without power, you can't change anything. And I'm here to win." The answer turned the scandal on its head. Instead of damage control, she leaned into it, framing herself as the ultimate strategist, the one person ruthless enough to beat the system. The base rallied behind her. The polls rebounded. And then in the final, most daring move of the campaign, she orchestrated the ultimate political masterstroke. 1 week before the election, Trump was scheduled for a final rally in Pennsylvania. It was expected to be like any other, raucous, high energy, packed with supporters. But Olivia had a different plan. As Trump stepped onto the stage, the crowd of thousands fell silent. Then, the screen behind him flickered to life, playing a montage, not of him, but of Olivia. News clips of her being attacked by the media, headlines doubting her, the infamous "I care about power" clip. And then, as the footage played, her voice cut through. I was never supposed to be here. I was never supposed to be his daughter. I was never supposed to be your campaign manager. But I am. And we are about to shock the world. The crowd erupted. Trump grinned, stepping forward. I always told you I only hire the best, he said. And guess what? The best is running this campaign. The moment was electric. The press called it a game changer. Polls swung back in their favor. And when election night arrived, as results trickled in, it became clear Olivia had done the impossible. Trump won. As the victory party roared into the early hours of the morning, Olivia stood off to the side, watching history unfold. She had won the greatest political battle of her career. But as she looked out over the sea of flashing cameras, she realized something. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. Because for the first time, she wasn't just a strategist. She was a kingmaker. And soon, the world would see what Olivia Carter truly had planned.